Hey there, Chief. Dennis Farina here, and welcome to JSYK with Dennis Farina. Just so you know, I'll be talking for most of this.
I don't think so. This is the Cage Man Uncaged podcast with your main caster, Nicolas freaking Cage.
Now I gotta wonder, and I'm sure you do too, how this midge named Nicolas Cage thinks he can be uncaged.
Who is this midge you're talking about? It's the Cage Man. How do you not know this?
Yeah.
Actually, guys, it's
Right.
our podcast. It's a D podcast
That's
with your
right.
main bros slamming skits.
Well then, just so you know, I'll be leaving for most of this.
Not D's podcasters.
Douglas, thank you for laughing.
Thank you. You're welcome. Now, it's time for the new and improved D podcast with Simon Skits.
That's right. We've changed things up a bit, and we're making it more entertaining. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would believe so. Hey,
All right.
Skits, how
Yeah.
have you been?
Man, I've been amazing. I've been making lots of money at work. Got a steady Snapchat streak with a attractive girl who I will leave anonymous for now.
OMG!
Yeah, I mean, it's not
Can't
like it
believe
means a whole lot, but hey.
I can't believe it. You actually have a snap streak with a girl. It's amazing.
Oh, really? Like,
yeah.
you have one?
I mean, I deleted my Snapchat because I don't need one.
Whoa.
Oh! Oh, snap.
I call that to spit in the alcohol bottle.
Yeah, because he's drinking now. Hey, guys, he turned 21.
In January. But
Yeah, he did.
So I'm like
He's been
21 and a
drinking.
half now.
He's drinking a beer per night now.
And a hard cider.
Welcome to the 21 club, my bro.
Yo, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
you're
feel
welcome.
great. It's great to be a mate.
Yeah, I mean, I was 21 for
A year.
and a half now.
You're not 21 anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm 22.
Right.
So I've been legally able to drink for a year and a half.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
yeah, I mean,
I've
it's nothing
witnessed,
really.
I mean, I
What-
witnessed it once.
Once it's lawful, it kind of loses its spark, you know. If
That's
you're
what I
like
hear.
if you're like 18 and you drink, it's kind of like, oh, I'm a rebel. I can drink whatever I want. But
Like
now you're
you did it.
21, you can drink with a cop sitting in front of you, and it's like, well, what's the point?
I mean, if the cop's in your house, yeah. But if the cop's
cop's
it's
at
in
the bar.
public, or in the bar, if you're in public, then you might be kind of screwed.
I mean, if you're in public as well, it's okay.
Public intoxication can get you arrested.
That's not public intoxication if you're just drinking one beer. And if you're behind the wheel, then that's a different story. But
Yeah, don't get behind the wheel, brother.
no, especially not. But yeah.
So,
well,
Slim,
yeah.
tell us about your Fender these days.
My Fender. Well, guys, just so you know, I have a guitar for
Can't believe it.
like 2 years, and I finally am able. I'm finally trying to learn how to play guitar. All I know is how to strum it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on frets. Frets are a big
Big step.
and very extremely hard.
Yeah. I if you are like me and you play guitar regularly, I'm sure you will be laughing hard. Oh, what a noob! But I mean, we all gotta start somewhere.
I got this one song that I play, and it's called it's called
Hey now, hey now.
it's called the liberal song because because it's so
Hey now,
because
hey now.
or no, it's called the hippie song. It's not the liberal song.
Oh,
It's
that's what you
more
named it.
more politically correct. Yes,
Fair enough.
it's just like strumming, and it's like, hey now. Oh wait, let me play it for you.
This
It's
is
right-
keep
sing
it
right here.
green, keep it green.
No, that's not how it goes.
I gotta record this.
Son, we are. It's on the podcast.
I need a personal
D
recording.
podcast. You're listening to it here now for the first time ever. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the hippie song. I say, hey now, hey now,
Hey now,
love everything and keep it green.
keep it green.
We're gonna make a new country. And that's it.
Oh, that was so sweet.
I know, right?
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, so I deleted Snapchat.
Yeah, he sure did.
I'm actually... Whoa, a millennial deleting Snapchat. How can he do this? Well, I'll tell you why. Because, as with most millennials, I was getting too obsessed with it. And I caught it.
You know, I think actually we're considered Generation Z.
Well,
Millennials are like the people that are like 29, 30, 28, 31, like that range.
whatever.
I used to think it was the other way around too.
We're also not considered 90s kids, even though we were born in 1997 and 1998.
Yeah, I know. I actually remember something from the 90s.
I remember a
think.
lot from the 90s. I remember the Toys R Us commercials. I remember I don't want to grow up, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. That commercial.
Huh.
But then they were growing up and they're like still Toys R Us kids when they're like 30 or something. It was
Well,
hilarious.
now
That was hilarious.
Toys R Us is just gone. They just
There,
said
there,
bye.
there are no Toys R Us kids anymore. They're all homeless.
Now it's Amazon kids. I don't want
wanna
to grow up. I'm an
Amazon
Amazon.com kid.
Then
You know
again,
what's-
everyone's an Amazon.com kid.
You know what's even funnier is that Amazon and Toys R Us used to partner with each other. Did you know that?
You know what's also funny?
What?
Amazon used to be a bookstore.
Yeah. That's where it all started.
It used to be a
It was an
online-
online bookstore, yup.
an online bookstore from out of Jeff Bezos' garage.
And Toys R Us partnered with Amazon to sell their toys through their online marketplace.
Yeah.
I have fond memories of using Amazon's Toys R Us thing.
Well, I don't, because I didn't have the
Well,
computer.
you missed out on dial-up that was like...
Hashtag STEM talk.
And
STEM talk. Hashtag STEM talk.
that is my performance of two modems communicating with each other.
Hashtag STEM talk.
Yeah. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics for life, guys.
Whoa!
That was like totally
man.
amazeballs.
Anyway,
Yes.
it's not even the good science either, like environmental science. It's just crappy science like chemistry.
Ah. Chemistry.
Get that boron.
Boring
You know,
ass boron.
boring ass boron. Oh! Hashtag boring ass boron.
Whoa.
Anyway, so let's talk about experiences.
Sure thing.
My week, or we haven't had too much experiences. We've gone to Universal on spring break,
We did.
and now we're in the good old Panama City Beach.
When we have
in
not
Florida.
gone out on the beach at all.
No, because I've been too busy with like schoolwork and
And
crap.
watching Family Guy for a solid hour.
Yeah, or no, it's been like 2 hours.
Oh
and
my god.
I've had to watch it in order to study. That's how I study. It's
And
watching stuff.
I ended up taking a very mild nap after all.
Yeah, apparently this kid thinks I take naps all the time. So
And I took one myself.
and he dared me not to take a nap.
He's actually made it through the day.
I actually made it
napless.
through the day napless.
I'm so proud.
I dared him not to have any accents or any obnoxious talks, and
And he didn't really succeed.
No, he
but
didn't.
to make up for it, I gently or semi-gently slap my face every time I do it. I've
Yeah.
slapped myself a lot. And I'm probably not done.
yeah, his face is red now.
Yeah, it's got some blistering on it.
Yeah,
Some,
it does. I had to slap him a
scars.
couple times too.
Yeah.
but-
Oh yeah, it was rough.
Yeah,
He
it was
took
rough.
me down in the boxing ring, actually.
Well, at least you don't have that Canadian accent.
Yeah, you're right.
Which, by the way, I a feeling we need to talk about this because you
Sure.
think the Midwestern. I got some Midwestern talk in me.
It's not like the Canadian accent, but I mean, it sounds like American
very-
Midwestern.
It's very similar though.
It's a little similar, but not. I can tell the difference.
Apparently, what I've heard from actual Canadians is that the Canadian stereotypical accent actually comes from Newfoundland,
Okay.
and everywhere else in Canada is apparently different.
Hmm.
Like they actually talk not like that, like a boot. That's only found in Newfoundland.
I've heard I knew a Canadian, and she did say about.
A boot.
It was some girl's mom that went to Lakeview, and she was like the leader of this gardening club we had. I forget what it was called, but it was fun. Dirt dogs or something like that.
Dirt
I
dogs.
think that's what we called it.
You know what?
It
let's
was fun.
let's discuss this right now. Let's discuss Midwestern words and phrases.
All right, let's do it.
What do you think Midwesterns say? And I'll tell you.
They
we
don't
actually
say y'all. I know
No,
that.
they don't say y'all.
Y'all is not a phrase. And when y'all is pronounced by the Midwesterners in a stereotypical sense, it's y'all.
You know what I discovered as well?
What did you discover?
Y'all
Y'all?
is very forced down here. It's like
It's not.
I've heard it
When
said.
you say it, it's forced.
No, I've heard it said by many people down here, and whenever people say it, a lot of times it's forced. Like I hear it.
If they say it and it's forced, then they're not from here.
I hear it a lot from the place where I work, and like
They're probably not from here.
no,
Their families aren't.
they were born in here. They're born
Parents
here,
maybe not.
and a lot of it is very forced. I don't understand.
I don't like that. They need to go back up north where they're from.
North,
Up north to all Minnesota or
which by the way,
Maryland. Or no, not
which by the way,
Maryland,
Midwesterners do not say that. North.
North. No, that's
Especially
more of
not
a,
in Michigan actually, but
Well, not Michigan. That's more of a Maine kind of thing.
Maine kind of thing.
Yes.
Stephen King with his
Yes, Derry, Maine.
yeah. Which speaking of which, let's talk about him.
All right.
This is going to be our segment we're going to call Best and Worst.
Alrighty.
We're going to talk about the best and worst movies of Stephen King. At least I am.
What? All right, fine.
Well, yeah, Stephen King.
All right.
What will be your best and worst, my bro? Since we're starting this out, we're pretty much the rules are being followed, being like written up as we go along. pretty
We're
much.
kind of doing this on the fly.
Yeah, we're kind of winging this.
I'm gonna
Which is-
talk
which
about.
is not what I wanted to do, but whatever. So
Hey man, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
sometimes it's just a winging and a prayer.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with for tonight. I'm gonna go with the best guitar amp I've ever owned and the worst guitar amp I've ever owned.
All right. Well, boneless. That's very personal, and
It is.
for guitar enthusiasts. So,
Yes.
There we go.
Please just it'll help you out in your guitar journey.
Yes.
So now, Steven, tell us about
Steve King,
Steve K.
Steve K. Gosh, where to begin? Well, first of all, I think I had a dream like this once. I
You have
swear.
a lot of dreams like this once.
I have terrible deja vu.
It's noticed. I've
It's
noticed
not even.
that.
It's not even funny.
No,
It's like
not really.
I swear I had a dream like this once where this is gonna get blocked on YouTube. I can just tell right now. I had a dream where we had talked about Stephen King. We blocked on YouTube. Anyway,
All right.
YouTube, please don't block this. Thank you. Don't let my dream come true. Anyway,
Exactly.
so Steve King did a lot of drugs back in his early days of writing. He's one of the he's not one of my personal heroes, but I admire him simply because he writes like longer than the Bible books. And yet he publishes like a book. He publishes like 5 books a year.
It's like the Bible is the bar. So is it Bible plus pages or Bible minus pages?
That was Bible plus pages.
Especially the Book of Wise.
Have you read the Book of Wise?
I've
Stephen
never read
King's
it. It is not something I will probably ever read, but it's a great story.
It is like 1,200 pages long.
If you think I could sit there and read a fictional book for that long, you're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I can barely read a book for that long.
I mean,
I'm still reading it. It is so incredibly long.
I thought you had it as an audiobook.
I do as well. In order to keep my attention from leaving the page, I have to listen to the audiobook and read the book at the same time.
Oh, you go back and forth?
No, I do it at the same time.
Oh, wow. Unless you're in the car, I hope.
Sometimes. Well, not driving.
Ah, okay.
But whatever.
Cool.
So, and the audiobook, it's like 33 hours long. Or like, it's just... There's also, like, another audiobook called, like, it's like the Bible, read by, like, famous Hollywood people or whatever.
Please
from Audible.
Tell me Morgan Freeman is reading the Bible.
I think he's in there somewhere.
Oh man, I want to hear that just because that'd be epic.
Anyway, that's like 43 hours long, so it's not that far off.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I admire him because he writes like 5 books. He posts like 5 books a month, whereas George R.R. Martin, he writes good stuff, but he writes so incredibly long. It takes forever for him to write. He's probably going to die before, like, Game of Thrones gets finished.
He writes it on, like, a vintage computer from the 80s.
Of course he does. That's probably why it takes so long.
Could be.
Probably writes on floppy disks.
Yeah.
I mean...
There's no CDs or USB drive back then.
I actually watched a interview that had both Stephen King and George R.R. Martin talking. And George R.R. Martin asked Stephen King how the hell he wrote so much and published so much.
Wow.
And Steve said he wrote 6 pages per day minimum. And of course stuff happens or whatever, life happens, but
oh yeah,
he tries his best to write 6 pages a day. Whereas George R.R. Martin's like, he writes a sentence like a day and like ponders over it like for 3 more days or whatever, and then it's like, okay, this is a good sentence, I'll move on to the next one. That's... Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I can go into George R.R. Martin for a long, long time, but we're not going to.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Anyway. So, let's see. Which one? Books or movies? You take your pick.
Books or movies?
Books or movies based on Stephen King works. Or Stephen King books. Because I've actually listened to a lot of Stephen King
I've only
books.
read one Stephen King book from start to finish, and that would be The Mist. And that's only because I had to read a book over the summer by force. For a middle school English or something.
And no one was like, son.
I just was like, well, might as well read something by him that's probably good.
Son.
And it was good. It was a novella, though.
You read that novella, my son? Son?
Working on it there, Deborah. Anyway, yeah.
You pick books or movies?
I guess movies are easier to sit through, so movies.
Okay, let's discuss movies. Well, my favorite Stephen King movie. Probably... There's 2. Well, there's... It's difficult. That's difficult. Because there's some cult favorites, like Stephen King's It,
You mean the old one?
the miniseries,
Why?
the new movie, which is even better than that one.
Far better.
And there's like actual good cinema movies like The Shining.
You calling The Wise a bad movie?
I'm not calling it a bad movie. I'm just saying Oscar-winning movies.
Oh, I see. Fair enough.
Movies that could win awards. Not like there's like popcorn level good.
Popcorn level, and then what, like
There's
steak
entertaining.
dinner level good?
There's entertaining good, and then there's which is movies like Avengers and whatever. And then there's film like Call Me by Your Name or Moonlight or La La Land or a lot of other Stephen King movies like The Shining, which is a popular Stanley Kubrick horror movie,
That's right here.
or The Shawshank Redemption, or movies like that, you know? So,
Alright.
if I had to pick one, I would probably have to pick maybe, I would have to pick the, dang, this is tougher than I thought. Alright, well, I'll go with The Shawshank Redemption with the caveat of runners-up being, the 2017 version, which is just hilarious. It's not even that scary. It's just hilarious how scary it is. And Misery. Okay, there we go. Misery was actually a really good movie, and it won Dorothy Bates an Oscar, the only one out of a Stephen King movie to actually get an Oscar.
Huh.
A lot of Stephen King movies were nominated for Oscars, but she actually won one.
Interesting.
Anyway, so Misery is a great one. It 2019 is a great one, but 2017, you're right. It Chapter 2 comes out this year,
It does.
which
and
probably I'm excited too. It's gonna be a great movie. But
Oh, yes.
The Shawshank Redemption is probably one of my favorite movies of his. Why? Because it's a cinematic masterpiece. It is a man's movie, which let it be known, just because it's a man's movie doesn't mean women can't watch it, but it resonates more with men than it does with women. Like, for instance, I don't know, A League of Their Own. I like watching it, but it resonates more toward women.
Like The Notebook.
And The Notebook. I like watching The Notebook, but it resonates
I'm
more
glad you do.
It resonates more toward.
You like watching The Notebook there?
Yeah, I do.
You
It's
like,
a-
oh my god, that's so sweet at the end.
It
Makes me cry
is.
every time.
It does make me cry. It's so sad.
Pumpkin spice latte.
But anyway, The Shawshank Redemption is a man's movie. Why? It's
Sure.
got Morgan Freeman in it.
Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah. Yes, he did slap himself, ladies and gentlemen.
It was worth the slap.
Anyway, yeah, so Morgan Freeman's in this, and it's a story about this guy who's been falsely accused for murder, who no one knows. He murdered his wife and her lover, and they were like cheating on him, and he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences in the Shawshank prison in, what do you know, Maine.
Wow.
Of course it's in Maine.
I mean, where else would it be? Georgia? Huh. Yeah, right.
Whoa, yeah, of course. I mean, The Shining takes place in Colorado, but I mean, you know.
Oh my god, it's not Maine for once?
Yeah, it's not Maine.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I don't know why, but whatever. Anyway, so it's all about him being in jail, his experiences in jail. It's very heartwarming, actually, kind of funny. Some things get really dark really fast, like he gets raped, and they don't shy away from the rape.
Okay.
Gets raped in prison. He
That's common in real life, unfortunately.
yeah, and it shows it. It's real life. It shows a lot of real life.
I'm glad he touched on the subject.
He spends 20 years in prison, all like being friends with Morgan Freeman and all that. And all of a sudden, like this kid he was mentoring and trying to change gets killed by the police commissioner. And all of a sudden he decides, you know what, it's time to get out of this hellhole. So, spoiler alert, he gets out.
Nice.
And once he gets out, it is cinematic.
Gold.
Yeah, it's gold. Okay, the
You-
music.
Your penis got hard.
No, I don't. My penis does not get hard. It only gets hard for women. But anyway,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't that good.
yeah. So I mean, it is that good, but it just doesn't get hard for that. Anyway.
Alrighty.
Anyway, so the cinematic necessities of this movie
Really?
resonates that big. Okay, that twist is simply wonderful. Okay, the music is great, the acting is fantastic. Morgan Freeman does his Morgan Freemanness. He should have won an Oscar for this thing.
You should have.
Yeah, and he meets up with Morgan Freeman gets out of jail and meets up with the guy at the end, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, that does sound like a good movie. I'll have to check it out one day.
Yeah, well, you'll probably hate it because it's like, I don't know, 2.5 hours long.
Oh
so,
no.
yeah.
Oh no. Never mind.
However, it's 2.5 hours of solid gold.
Fair enough. If it's
I
anything like Endgame, then it might be tolerable.
I don't know about that, but it's whatever.
Okay.
It's a different kind of Endgame level. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like, what the heck? What's the deal with this? It's like 2 hours. I got to the 2 hour mark and I was like, what the heck? Why does everyone say this is a masterpiece? This is like pretty slow and it's not interesting and
Mhm.
he's not getting out of jail. I thought he gets out of jail. What's the deal? Then at the 15-minute mark, everything just goes 180 and I'm like, oh my gosh, he got out.
He did.
And it made a lot of sense. And you can watch it, knows how he does it, and it's still a good movie. That's the thing about movie twists. you
That's
know?
right. Now it's my turn.
No, it's not your
Yes.
turn yet. I'm still talking about this. No, I didn't talk too long. I'm still talking. So, that's the thing about movie twists. The best ones, you can watch the movie again, and the movie does not change.
Yeah. Well
Yeah.
said, man.
Well said, yeah. And now it's the Hentress turn.
You know,
Because you're, like, overreacting about it. Whoa,
I really was.
movies. I can't talk about... I don't want to talk about movies. You always want to
Well,
talk
no,
about...
I was gonna talk about my favorite Stephen King movie.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
I thought you said you were going to talk about your favorite guitar amps.
All right. Well,
Or
I
you,
thought we
you
were
could,
gonna do it where
you could talk about you could talk about Stephen King too. Doesn't
Never
matter.
mind. I definitely won't. That's a good point because you won't know anything about guitar amps. I have a feeling. At least
Well,
not that I know of.
Well, I know about some, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well then, challenge accepted.
Yeah, challenge accepted. Go
So
ahead.
before I begin about guitar amps, my favorite Stephen King movie is It 2017 Part 1 because between that and The Wise from 1990 and The Langoliers, like at least the first half of it or whatever, that is by far the best. Because The Langoliers just made me annoyed feeling, and I don't know why. And the OG Wise
because
from the 90s was boring as hell,
Yeah,
except
it
for when
was.
the Wise showed up.
Which was barely any.
But when he was there, it was comedic gold.
It was. Yeah.
When he was gone, it was like, oh my god,
Boring as hell.
middle-aged people from the 90s do 90s things.
Yes.
Like breakdance.
John Boy Walton. I mean,
Well, it wasn't far enough in the 90s to breakdance quite yet.
no.
A little bit was there, but...
John Boy Walton with his
That's
ponytail. I mean, my gosh.
Oh, yeah! He was the author.
He was the author.
And they were all in Maine, of course. But yeah, I really liked the special effects. I like when the Wise pops out in the stage in the sewer, and the carnival
Are you
music.
Are you still talking about the 2017
Yes.
version? Oh, okay, good.
There's no carnival train car in the sewer or stage in the OG one.
Yeah,
But
and
in the new one, there is. And he pops out and it's like. And then the Wise makes this hilarious face and starts like Russian dancing or something. And the first time I saw this, I almost cried.
yeah, it was amazing.
Beautiful.
And it actually shows the kids floating.
Yes, they actually float down there.
There's actually a connection between floating and him saying floating and actually floating.
Like in the original one, he's like, "Yo, float down here."
Even though you never see the floating.
Where do they float?
Where's the floating?
Like it never happens.
No, never happens.
So, I mean, one day I might try to read the book, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
It's a tough read, let me tell you.
It's hard enough. I can sometimes read books if they're really funny, but that's about it. That or if they're factual.
It's not quite that funny. Like, in the book, Pennywise is more of a, not really funny, more kind of an ominous presence. He's not, he doesn't have quite the humor element.
How is he portrayed in the audiobook?
In the audiobook, I mean,
tell me it's not some guy reading it who did a shitty job.
I mean, he does the accent. He does the impression. Like,
is it funny?
Kinda, but it's with the words. It's kind of I don't know. It's like in the movies, he's hilarious, but in the book, he's kind of you can't tell whether or not it's supposed to be hilarious or scary. You know, it's like that line between you don't really know what to feel.
Oh,
but
I see.
But in the movies, he's hilarious and he's trying to be scary.
That's true.
But yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
But I agree with you. It is
it's a good one.
It's a pretty good movie.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Very good popcorn movie. I really
very
liked
good popcorn. Maybe not steak dinner, but popcorn.
Yeah.
And now, guitar amp time.
All right, fine.
Cool. So, all right, guys. So, my favorite guitar amp is going to be shared after I talk about the worst one, actually, because let's save the best for last.
No, let's talk about the best one, because we'll go in order.
Fair enough. All right, fine. I'll save the worst for last. But, the best guitar amp I ever owned is the one I own currently. And that would be the Marshall Studio Vintage 20-watt head that came out, I think, in February of this year. So, for those of you that don't know about it, Marshall released these quieter versions of some of their most famous amps from the 70s and the 80s. Like, they're all 20 watts, and they can be attenuated down to 5 watts, which is usually what I use, and that's still very loud for whatever reason. But they have the 1959 Super Lee Plexi, so if you hear people talk about, oh man, it's that classic Plexi tone, that's what it is. That's the Plexi. And then there's the JCM 800, which is, I think is based off the 2203, which is before they added the diode clipping. And then that's a classic amp for like any kind of, glam rock hair metal from the 80s, some early Metallica, early, I don't think Guns N' Roses used it, maybe a little bit. speaking of Guns N' Roses, the third amp they released was the Silver Jubilee, which is the amp that Guns N' Roses used. Hashtag Slash with his top hat. And the one I have is the Plexi one because I love AC/DC so much that it's kind of scary. And
Get black!
exactly. And I play that one all the time. I've been getting into Led Zeppelin more recently though, trying to nail.
Led Zeppelin doesn't hit the sack though, but you know you're allowed to be back. AC/DC.
Yeah, Jimmy Page did not hit the sack, neither did Robert Plant, but
got loose from the noose.
They did not get loose from the noose that had them hanging about. So yeah, it's a great amp. It's very loud, a very loud 5-watt amp. To put it into perspective, the amp I had before that was the DSL-40CR, which is also a Marshall, and it was very loud. I mean, it's 40 watts. I get this Studio Vintage Plexi head. It's attenuated. It's not even the 20-watt mode. On 5 watts, it's as loud as this 40-watt amp I had.
So what's the...
You put it on 20-watt mode, it hurts your ears.
So what's your favorite one that you own? Because you talked about like 5 already.
I'm giving some context. Like I just said, my favorite one is the current one that I own, and that is the Studio Vintage SV20H. It is the Plexi. That's the one that was used in the Back in Black album and all kind of stuff. And I'll end it there. I could talk about that bad boy for hours. But
Well, let's do it. Talk about why it's your favorite.
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
This is an open discussion.
you actually know what good point.
Yeah, this is open discussion.
Well,
you've
You've been warned.
Yeah, go ahead, do it. Like I talk a lot about movies.
You sure did.
And I
do.
will continue to do.
And you will. So,
You'll continue to talk about this.
all
Go
right.
ahead.
And to get that Back in Black tone, you gotta pair that amp up with the 4x12 1960B cabinet. And ideally, you want the Celestion G12-65s in there, but those are pricey. And the speaker cabinet usually doesn't come with those unless you get a vintage one, but then you gotta spend a little more money just because it's vintage and collectible. But I play guitar more for the tone and for the playing, not as much the collectability. And aside from that, it's a classic amplifier that decades of musicians love and adore, and I love it just as much, and I didn't even grow up in that era. And we'll just end it with knowing that yes, it's expensive. It was $1,300, and that's not including the speaker cabinet, which I bought used for $400. So $1,700 at that point, plus tax, and that's a lot of money for a guitar amp setup. But I will have to say it was well worth saving up the money. And I would, if I had to do it all over again, I would still buy it. Every time I play that thing, it puts a big smile on my face, and I feel very deeply connected with my music. When I'm playing my Gibson SG Standard through this Marshall amp that I spent $1,700 on, it really just it brings my spirit to a whole nother realm of the universe of music, and it makes me feel so good. So good! I gotta use
Just like drugs.
And now let's talk about
Cocaine.
Let's talk about the worst amp I ever owned.
No, let's talk about movie because
What?
in order. Yes.
What?
What?
Relax.
Yeah, you and your alcohol state.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. I guess you're right. We didn't talk about bad movies. So what's the worst Stephen King movie to you?
Well, there is a lot.
I know of my least favorite.
The Langoliers was kind of hilarious, but more consistently hilarious than It 1990.
I agree.
but there have been a lot of terrible Stephen King movies.
Oh yes.
There have been Sleepwalkers, which is hilarious. There's been, but I think the worst one would probably have to be Dreamcatcher.
Ah yes.
You know what Dreamcatcher is?
No, not one bit.
Oh,
but
gosh.
I'm gonna agree with you.
It is incredibly dull and boring.
Ah.
Morgan Freeman, okay, he's got like these very long caterpillar-like eyebrows, and it's about this like these aliens that come out of the toilet, and
What?
they literally call them like shit weasels. Morgan Freeman calls them shit weasels.
There go the shit weasels.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's
It's trash.
That's it.
It is.
That's the only funny part. Morgan Freeman with his caterpillar eyebrows and shit weasels. Otherwise, it's just boringness. It takes place in this like log cabin with these very dull characters, and nothing happens except like all this
I know, it is a bunch of BS that happened in that movie.
And I mean, Stephen King wrote this book like right after, I guess, his almost fatal car crash, which is, I guess, okay, whatever. I don't understand. I never read the book. All I watched is this movie, and this movie sucks. It's dull and boring. There's like this British guy that's kind of funny, but doesn't get quite up to like, I don't know, Tim Curry as Pennywise levels. And
Tim Curry wise.
it's all about like the mind and all that. Like the shit weasels are kind of like going through like his body and like trying to enter his mind. It's really weird, and it doesn't explain a whole lot, and it's just boring. And that's the worst crime a movie can commit, is boringness. I mean, at least the Langoliers, it had that crazy guy that was like screaming all the time. It's like screaming all the time, and yeah, you're looking at shit weasels now.
I wondered what that looks like. Now I found
it's hilarious.
It looks like Newt Gingrich, maybe. I don't know.
Anyway,
I am pooping, and I thought everybody should know. That's not Newt Gingrich. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. But anyway, so I mean that's it. I really can't talk about this any further, except I don't know. The snow looked real, I guess. That's a good thing. And yeah, I can't say anything more except the movie was boring as hell, and I hated it. I mean, at least the Langoliers was so bad it's good. This one's so bad it's bad.
Wow. I'll take your word for it.
And it's 1990. I mean, that was boring and long as hell, but at least it had Pennywise. This just has Morgan Freeman with his caterpillar eyebrows and shit weasels, and that's it. I mean, and that's barely anything in this hour-and-a-half long movie. I mean, what else can you say about it? It's just terrible. Anyway,
Cool.
yeah. It's a lot shorter than Shawshank Redemption, because I could talk about that
You sure could.
for a lot longer, but just the majesty of that movie and how great it is. But I will try to refrain from it because the Hensrai, even though I let him go on and on about guitar amps, Shawshank Redemption, no. Anyway.
So, now, before we get to my least favorite, what is your favorite guitar amp? Because you never spoke on that.
My favorite guitar amp? Yeah.
I
Well-
gotta wonder. Here it comes.
What's the one about, there's one that we went to. There's like this guitar, store we went to in Auburn.
Oh, the vintage one?
There's like this vintage
Oh,
one.
the Fender Twin Reverb?
I think so. It's
Yeah,
like this,
that was
like
it.
60s
Yeah, it was
version.
the Fender Twin
Yeah.
Silverface.
Is that one? You want to know why?
Why?
Because that could be the same amp style / model that Elvis could have used, and the Beach Boys, and a lot of other people that I admire.
I
And
don't know about
actually,
Elvis. Elvis,
he could have. Maybe once.
maybe that was a little late for Elvis. That was probably more. That was a late 60s, early 70s amp there.
And Elvis played in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yeah, he was in his fat days, but yeah.
I mean, he was getting up there. Late 60s, he was still kind of thin. 1977 was when he was like super fat. But anyway,
Okay.
eating his fried peanut butter and banana sandwiches, you know what I mean? Anyway,
Fair enough.
anyway, that amp, okay, gave us the sound of a generation, okay? The Beatles probably played on it.
They did actually.
Well, there you
They
go.
may have used the blackface one, but they're more or less the same thing.
Yeah, the Beatles music was sung through that.
They didn't sing
Type of
through
it? I mean, they played through that type of thing.
That's more like it.
Whoa, getting credit the first time.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a lot of great bands. Johnny Cash, maybe, I don't know. A lot of the pinnacles of music history flowed through this type of amp.
I agree. The Fender Twin is a very good. It's got an excellent built-in reverb, spring reverb tank. It's not emulated. It's actual
Plus this-
springs, and it sounds amazing.
Plus the style.
Yes,
The style of it is.
it looks really good.
It looks
I
like.
want one
I want one too. It
So
looks
bad.
like. It looks like the '60s.
because it's from the '60s.
I mean, yeah. It looks like the good part of the '60s, not like the drug Woodstock whatever part of the '60s.
yeah,
It looks like the stylized part of the '60s that I actually enjoy,
I agree. It's
and it's part of Americana, if you will.
It is. It's an American designed amp. Fender is an American company.
Yeah.
But
Do you know what Americana is?
Yes, I think we all do.
Okay.
Anyway, I will add briefly that the Fender Twin Reverb is extremely heavy, and it can be extremely loud. I've never played it that loud, but I'm well aware how loud it can get. It
mean, yeah,
stays very clean. It gives you a lot of headroom. You can turn it up loud, and it won't distort like a lot of tube amps do,
I mean, yeah, it's got to be very loud. You know why?
because they're playing concerts.
Yeah, the Beatles, okay, screaming girls all day and night. They gotta like play as loud as they can in order for them to
Oh
hear.
yeah, and on top of that, it is amazing for surf. I mean, Dick Dale didn't actually use that one, unfortunately, but I'm sure there are some surf rock bands that did. I haven't looked into it. I have only looked into Dick Dale's setup, and I know for sure that he used the Showman with an external reverb tank, but that's for another time. But yeah,
Your worst amp.
my worst amp.
Or your worst
First, my worst
Stephen King movie.
Stephen King movie is The Langoliers by far. I mean, I would definitely watch the 3-hour 1990 Wise over The Langoliers any day.
I mean, you watched like half of it. It's not even.
I know, and
You didn't even
I
get-
hated it that much.
He even gets to the best
I couldn't take it. It was because that Italian-looking guy who's always pissed off. He just, God,
He was the best part. He was screaming so much. It was
really
hilarious.
just made
Scaring the little girl.
he made me cringe so hard, and when
Because he reminded you of you.
yes, But like I hate the feeling when I
Plus
feel
the
like
dad.
I'm not trying hard enough. His dad's like, "You don't try hard enough, you suck." I was like, I mean, I'm not that mentally
Scary little
mentally,
girl, lady.
I'm not that mentally scarred per se, but I guess that's part of having ADHD.
These are
But
they're
still,
like cartoon characters. They're just.
I know. Well, they're not cartoon characters, but
They're
still.
like cartoon
Oh,
characters.
you
There's-
said like, okay.
yeah, they're
Gotcha.
hilarious.
Yeah,
I
some
know
of
they're
them are.
not cartoon
I was
characters.
gonna be like,
They're
what are you
They're
smoking?
not animated.
And they're not anime either.
Oh,
God. Sorry.
That's
I'm
another-
not an anime
that's-
fan.
let's never talk for another day.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, at least the Wise, you know,
There's Tim
it
Curry.
was hilarious enough that I even made a YouTube parody of it that has like,
At least
thanks
Tim,
to the new Wise, it got up. It made, I don't know if it made it to 20,000. Yeah, it did. I think it did. It has at least 15,000 views. I know that. If you want to see what I looked like in middle school, go on YouTube, type in Georgie meets Pennywise, and look for the account JHend1000, and look for a chubby kid with braces in a swimming pool.
15,000 views in 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
The majority of those views were from that movie that
Yeah.
came out in 2017.
so you had to wait, like, I don't even know, 7 years.
Yeah, because the hype built up. And I knew it would happen. When I saw they were making that, I knew people would start watching it. But anyway, yeah, Langoliers, maybe it was because I just really didn't want to watch a movie that night. Maybe I was pissed about a certain unnamed girl that I'm not going to talk about, but you know who it is.
Yeah, I think we all know who it is.
Probably not. Could have been the combo of things, but God,
Just
that
everything.
just-
It was.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you what, though, the best part was yet to be uncovered. You were watching you watched like half of it. It was getting close. There's like that. It's like that Star Trek guy, like Captain Kirk guy. They talked like Captain Kirk, William Shatner. That was hilarious. I believe the answer to our question is this.
Wait, William Shatner appears?
A William Shatner impersonator, yeah. He was like pausing his words, sentences like every single time. It was hilarious.
Well, I might have to finish it at
Plus,
some point. But
plus there's the quote unquote blind girl that is just a terrible actress.
yeah, I remember that.
And
I didn't
as
like
a-
that either.
That's like a guy's haircut too. It was-
I remember there was like a gothic chick or something, like skater girl kind of girl who smoked cigarettes, who was kind of attractive, but not enough for me. But
oh yeah, the Far Out girl.
yeah, and the younger kid on there, I mean, I knew they were gonna engage in some very low-level mating behaviors of some sort, and they did.
The unexplained psychic child of the blind girl.
And then her, yeah.
That was kind of hilarious.
But yeah, that would be my least favorite.
All right. Well, I can see why, but I don't agree because it's just I've seen the entire thing. It's hilarious.
Alright.
But I would understand why you would pick that as your least favorite.
Indeed.
Now onto your worst amp.
Oh boy. My least favorite guitar amp that I've owned is gonna be the first one I owned. And the one that Slam probably remembers me playing and probably made him cringe every time he heard it, because it actually sounded that bad. On top of my bad playing from when I was starting out, not only was my playing bad, the amp was horrible sounding that made it even worse. And that would be the Fender Frontman 15. I only bought it just because that was like the only amp I could afford at the time. I just wanted to have the guitar and an amplifier. And I couldn't afford a decent amplifier yet, so I figured, at least I can play through it. And, yeah, I mean, it gets the job done. You can play through it. It's not gonna be pretty. It kind of has a very thin, kind of grainy sound almost. It's the best way I could, like, fizzy. It's hard to describe sounds with words sometimes, but that's the best way I could put it. It was just not pleasing. Like, when you think of rock music and you think of, like, the amp I have now and you hear, like, bow, 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 it's like, yeah, boy. But, no, this amp, it was like, it's like, oh, God. Oh, at least I played it. And poor Slam's just like, oh, make it stop. Anyway.
That's probably my least favorite too, honestly. Because...
Really?
Yeah, because, pretty much any amp I had to hear at the Sherm kind of sucked. Because you played it all the freaking time.
That one was a midge. Now, to be fair, the amp I had after that was a step up, a big step up.
But it painted like a normal.
It did paint like a normal, and it played like a normal, but it sounded like a midge. But that first Marshall that I had, I mean, people hate on the Code series. I like them alright. They're good for the money. I mean, it's never gonna sound like what it's trying to emulate, but it's closer than you think. But yeah, my least favorite has got to be, for that matter, any of the cheapo starter pack style Fender solid state amps. They just are horrible. God, they're horrible. Oh my God, they sound so bad. That's why it was like, I gave like $25 for it. You know how shitty this thing is? It's so shitty that I bought it for $25 at Guitar Center, and when I traded into a different music store to get my other amp, I made money off of it. It's that bad, and that was a trade-in value. It's not like that was what they're gonna sell it for either. They gave me, I made like $10 off of it without even trying to. So, it was not good. So, yeah. Would you say that's your least favorite, or you got another one that you happen to know of for whatever reason?
Well, basically all the ones that I had to hear at the Sherm kind of sucked. But if that was the first one, I mean, it didn't sound all that great, honestly.
It really didn't.
I would agree with you there, but then again, hearing it all the time at the Sherm kind of
yeah, I'm sure that gets old.
It gets old after a while. So
especially when it's not necessarily good playing.
Yeah.
If the playing's decent, maybe it's a bit more tolerable. But if it's not good, I totally get why that would be obnoxious.
Yeah, it's obnoxious now.
Oh,
roast.
Unroast. Oh, raw meat. And yeah. And now we're done talking about the best and the worst.
We're going to talk about a new segment, which we both enjoy pretty much equally.
And this is the subject of each podcast, I suppose. And tonight's subject is...
No, this is...
Okay.
This is something...
I was wrong.
You were wrong. We talked about this earlier. The intro just forgot.
My apologies.
It's all good. So, during the podcast, we're going to be talking about theme park and theme park related things, because this is going to be our theme park reviews.
Yes.
I guess. Theme park ride reviews.
For now, at least.
For now, at least. We're going to try this out and see if it works. If it doesn't stick, then we'll probably do something else. But this is where it's going to stay for now, at least. See if it sticks. Throw it at the wall, see if it sticks.
Right.
If it slides off, it's a red X. If it sticks, it's a green check.
There you go.
So, theme park attractions. The Hendry actually chose this one because we were both on it fairly recently during spring break. Hendry, why don't you discuss the name, reveal the name of this ride?
The Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket.
At Universal
Orlando.
Studios Orlando.
Not Islands of Adventure, but the actual Universal Studios Orlando park. The first part.
Not Universal Studios Hollywood.
That's a different thing altogether.
That's a different area.
And I think there's a theme park there too, but we won't get into that.
No, because we haven't been to it.
So, yeah, that is a really nice roller coaster. It's a little bit of a headbanger, but I've been on some that are far worse. It's not the smoothest one, but it's got a cool concept with it.
I'll tell you what, it's the one that they pretty much rolled out the red carpet for, because everyone we got on, everyone wanted to be on it. First of all, second of all,
I mean, it's epic.
There's like all these TVs about it and all that stuff, detailing all the rules and whatever.
Oh yeah.
Very long lines. Plus, there were like escalators around.
No, it was a moving, like the
moving walkway or whatever.
I mean, they
Not
have
escalators. It was like
it's not like the moving walkway that they have in the
Jetsons.
The part that takes you from the parking lot to the parks, but it's
a little like that.
It's kind of, I don't know what you call that. It's like
It's the thing from the Jetsons.
The roller coaster train moves really slowly, but the platform moves with the coaster.
Yeah, the platform or whatever.
And you have to get into your car, and then the ride goes off on its own.
Yeah, you gotta pick your own song too.
You pick your song from different genres.
Which, by the way,
that was really sick.
It didn't have a whole lot of selection though.
I will agree. I wish they had a slightly better selection. AC/DC, where are you at?
Yeah, and I'll tell you something else. An iPod Shuffle, which is like as big as your index finger, probably smaller than a normal person's index finger, right?
Do they even make those anymore?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I bought one recently, but anyway.
Okay.
It's literally a button it's not a square piece of equipment that's as big as your pinky, right? And it can house at least 1,500 songs on it. And they can't make a giant ass roller coaster that can hold at least 30. I mean, there was barely 30 songs on there. That was atrocious.
There are secret songs on there, I read. You have to do some kind of code, but I didn't remember it at the time.
Plus, you have to do super fast too.
Yeah.
Because once you're up, you don't want to look.
Well, if you're Slam, at least you don't want to look. Now, for me, I looked every step of the way, and I sang along to "That's the way I like it," and it was lit.
I listened to a country song. I forgot which one, but it was a country song. I think Luke Bryan sang it.
Oh wow! So you start off then going straight up in the air, not an upward hill,
which I hated.
But you went straight up, man. Slam was.
I saw the sky.
Making a China face so hard, you'd think he was Trump minus the hairstyle.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the sky, and I was like,
yes.
Holy crap, why? I want to get off now.
I mean, we're just going straight up. I mean, it's like you're lying on your back, you look up at the sky, same thing.
I don't want to look at the sky, and once you look at the sky, going straight up, I'm like, well, crap, I'm gonna die.
No.
Yeah, you could. But especially when you hear all these theme park ride catastrophes.
That's why you get scared about this shit?
Yes.
Oh, God. Well, that's because it's at parks that don't do things correctly.
Well,
Universal
most
manages it well. Places that you see on the media, they're a lot more low budget. And you gotta be careful about that stuff.
That's true, but I mean, what if...
It's understandable.
What if, this is the one day that a person slacks, It's...
I'm gonna just...
It's always...
Yeah.
It's always in the back of my mind. And I'm like, crap, I'm gonna die.
I'm just gonna make the conclusion that anxiety and roller coasters are enemies.
You had to make that conclusion now?
No, I made it probably the day you were at the park.
I can't believe you had to even do that. It should have come across to
mean,
you.
It made sense, but it confirmed my suspicions, let's put it that way, when I saw the Trump face appear. And I think on that, the Doctor Doom ride, you started, like, praying or something. I was like, Slam.
I didn't start praying.
I thought you were like, I was like, Slam, I swear. And then we went up and it was, and then it was like, oh my God, it's Trump.
Well, anyway, let's talk about...
Yeah, back to the other ride.
Yeah, this ride and not Dr. Doom. That's another ride for another time.
Right. So we went up there, down we went.
It was a lot of twists and turns, and a lot of flipping, and I did not like it.
That was the Linden's first upside down coaster, I think. Was it?
Probably. It wasn't. It didn't go like all over the place.
Yeah, that one. It's a longer one.
It's a longer one. That's why I opened my eyes a few times because I thought, oh hey, it's over. Oh wait, nope, it's not.
You felt the brakes. You're like, yes, no, China, and we just kept on going.
China.
And I was like, yes. And it's
the song kind of helped though. I gotta say, even though I couldn't really hear it because of the screaming and the
wah wah China wah. And I just always have a good time on that one. And it goes fast and it's fun and it's really exciting.
On that level, I'll give it to you. It was good, but for me...
For you personally, yeah.
Personally, I was horrified out of my mind.
If you're a roller coaster enthusiast, it's a good coaster, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can give it to, like, roller coaster enthusiasts. The fact that, yeah, this is a coaster that's they would really enjoy.
I did.
But for me personally, it was very, very scary.
I see.
But then again, I actually had a fairly decent time on it. Looking back, I'm glad that I did it. But would I ever do it again? No.
Oh, I was gonna say if you did, I'd be very proud.
Yeah, but you should be proud that I did it at all.
I know. Now we gotta get you on the Hulk, which is actually not as bad. You'd probably still say China when we launch through the launch tube. That one, it like starts off normally. And I'm going to say this one thing because it's relevant. You go up, and at least you're not going straight up like on the Rip Ride Rocket, but instead you launch like really fast. Suddenly you're going like 50 miles an hour and it like propels you upwards, and man, I could just see that you probably at that point switch from China to my father gave me small $1 million. I'd just be like, he said it, and then when we get off the ride, your hair would be in the Trump parting. You'd have the hair going across your forehead. Anyway, yeah, I'd say that's a good ride. I don't really have much else to say about it, but it's a classic.
I mean, I would give it this. Like, the actual designs of it was pretty good. The coaster itself, I mean, it was safer than I thought it was going to be. And technology itself was actually pretty good. Wasn't it made in, like, The early 2000s?
No.
I got the early 2000s vibe.
I'd say like 2012-ish, somewhere around
2012?
there. I remember when I rode on it, it was like brand new-ish. Or it was only there for a year.
Well, dang.
First time I rode it. So it's within this current decade, but at the opposite end of the 2010s.
Well, dang.
Oh my god, we're almost to the 2020s.
Yeah, you just figured this out?
No, but God, when we talk about the 20s now, we're gonna have to be like, which 20s? The 1920s or the 2020s? We can't just say back in the 20s anymore.
There's different sayings for them. Like, you can't say the 10s. You say the 2010s. People will say the 2020s, not the 20s. 20s will be the 1920s.
I guess so.
But anyway, to the coaster itself, I thought this was like the cartoons they were showing was like early 2000s cartoons, I thought.
It did have that animation style, didn't it?
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing.
Maybe that was just for cost cutting.
I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
there's
wait.
other rides like, what?
I remember why it's like that.
Why is it like
It
that?
kind of has an Adult Swim 2D look
Oh.
to it, except not Adult Swim, but it's got that vibe.
Ah. Well, that makes a little
That's
more
the best way I could put it, but it's kind of like that.
Because I was going to say,
It's an
like,
artistic style.
okay.
It's not. Maybe it was also for cost cutting, but I think they did it on purpose too.
Alright. Well, I was going to say, because the Mummy had, like, Brendan Fraser on it.
That
Harry
Harry the
Po-
rights
the
to
Harry-
that. They didn't have to come up with it.
Yeah.
Oh, they came up with a little bit, but
Harry Potter rides had Harry Potter in it, so why can't they come up with this better thing?
well, I
Whatever.
mean, it wasn't based on a movie or a TV series. It was
Oh well.
new.
So, I mean, the coaster itself was pretty nice, pretty well maintained. I had a thrill while I was on it, and I was glad to get off of it.
I bet.
They rolled out the red carpet for this too. It's like a gem, you would think. It's like a roller coaster gem.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I would give this overall, for roller coaster enthusiasts, I would give it a 9.6 out of 10. But for me personally, probably a 8.3.
All right, that's respectable.
Yes, especially for a rapscallion like myself who is scared to death of roller coasters. Anyway, Hendry, what would you give this rating?
Well, I'm not giving the rating a rating, but I'll give the ride a rating.
Oh, well, okay. Whoa!
I would give it a rating of,
And explain why.
you know, you're gonna be shocked, but I think I'll give it probably an 8 out of 10. Your score was actually higher, which is impressive.
Well, why?
Why? Well, it is a really great ride. Don't get me wrong. I love the theme. I love hearing the music while you're on it, but it's a little, the jerkiness factor is a little bit more than I like. It's not a smooth coaster. It left me with a little bit of a headache, and that's not.
That was because of all the twists and turns and going upside down and whatever.
Well, the Hulk doesn't give you a headache. It goes upside down a lot more.
Oh, well, never mind then.
But it is shorter. It has more loops. This one has more like twists than loops, but it's not my all-time favorite roller coaster, but definitely in my top 5. If they would improve the smoothness and the ride quality, And if they would, and the other thing is the song selection kind of makes me sad a little bit. They have some good songs, but a lot of them, like, I've never heard of them before.
Yeah, just
So-
hook up an iPod Shuffle.
That or
I swear.
put stuff that's like pop culture related. Like if you put something like Back in Black on there, I mean, I'd pick that every time, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
or put a I Walk the Line, or
yes.
like Miserlou. Maybe like during the summer months, put surf music on there on purpose.
I swear, just put
Something
good music.
a little better than a. Get busy, child.
I swear, you can put.
That's a techno song.
I swear, you can. Well, there's that character.
He
I
said,
swear.
"Woo-hoo."
I swear, you can. You can have more songs than just 30. Why do you have just 30 songs?
There might have been more than 30.
An
but
iPod
there's still
Shuffle has
not enough.
1,500 at least.
Yeah.
And yet-
dang.
The original iPod had 500 songs.
Yeah,
This
that
thing-
was a lot back then.
It's a lot now. And this, especially for this roller coaster, which is like 30. What the heck? That's atrocious.
Yeah, it is. You know, I
That-
mean,
I can't believe this. I mean, engineers built this thing. Engineers built the iPod Shuffle. Just
but they're not the same engineers. So, you could have had people that graduate from Georgia Tech. No offense, Georgia Tech, but from the people I've seen come out of your school, it's not looking so good just because they can pass the test.
oh.
A big burn, and I'll give them more burns.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah. Coming to think of it, though, a lot of rides were shaky. I really noticed the shakiness, but whatever.
I mean, none of them are gonna be like extremely smooth, but you notice it more on others than some. Like that was one I remember noticing it on. But like the Mummy, like I didn't notice anything like that. I mean, it didn't. You weren't locked in with the headrest though, where your head's like smacked. But even on the rides that go upside down, where you have to have the headrest, that one's just on the jerkier side. Not anywhere near as bad as the Ninja at Six Flags Over Georgia. My God, I don't care how many Takis ads they put up to make it look pretty. It hurts your head. You're gonna need to see the chiropractor after that one. It's still fun in its own way. You just have to embrace it. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, that's all I got.
And that's all I got. Well, guys,
Good
we've
call.
had the first new and improved podcast.
Yes.
Tell us if you like this or not. Hopefully, next time we might have questions. I didn't prepare any questions, but this is normally the time where we take questions, I guess. But we don't have any, and I didn't come up with any beforehand because I didn't think about.
I got a
doing
question.
it. Okay, let's. What?
Question for our listeners. Do you prefer the East Coast or the West Coast, and why?
Oh, geography question.
And that's it.
Anyway, yeah, there we go. Question for you guys.
And next time,
Ask
we
us
may
a
even
question.
we may even have a theme song next time.
Oh, we have a theme song already. You just haven't heard it.
All right.
Oh, anyway. So for the next podcast, which will be up, hopefully, weekly or bi-weekly, or either weekly or bi-monthly,
Weekly or bi-monthly?
every other week. I don't know what the correct term is, but anyway,
Bi-weekly.
whatever. Anyway,
Bi-monthly, that's every 2 months. Once every 2 months.
no, we're not. Well, no.
Oh,
But
man.
Anyway, hopefully this will do weekly or bi-weekly, and next podcast, we're going to talk about for my section, for best and worst, we're going to talk about the best and worst of the superhero movies.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan, man.
And for you, Hendry, what is the best and worst for next podcast?
Let's see. I really didn't think about that.
I was thinking you would probably want to talk about vinyl, maybe, but...
Oh, looking at your turntable that I'm trying to repair at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
No. Maybe in the future. I'll do something about, power tools, maybe. Something...
The best and worst
Unexpected.
power tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I could make this good. Because just from being in an industrial environment, I guess.
Ooh, okay. Well, the best and worst of superhero movies and power tools. Powers? Oh, they go hand in hand!
Oh.
And for the theme park attractions, we're going to talk about Jurassic Park, the ride.
Alright. Sounds good.
Yeah. So get ready for that. You guys want to experience Jurassic Park, the ride before we do? Then go to Universal. And if you want to join us for the best and worst discussion and just start watching your superhero movies or, use your power tools, I guess. Anyway, thank you guys for a great podcast, and we hope to hear you later.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Adios. Stuckman reference.